Powered by Rep Media in partnership with TSN, it is season 6 of the Ray and Dregs Hockey Podcast, brought to you by our title sponsor, Tim Hortons. Hey, get a free coffee for the future. Yes, that's what I said. Free coffee for the future. Now, you order a brewed coffee, Ray, and you earn 400 points with that brewed coffee. And that's enough for a free brewed coffee for the future. So you get one now, and then you get a free one later. So you simply activate the offer in your Tim's Rewards app, right? You order, you scan, and then you are enjoying a free coffee at your next visit. So there's always something innovative happening at Tim Hortons. I mean, the Roll Up the Rim campaign, we've talked about it before. That's just, I love it. It's fun. You know, you look forward to it every year. The Smile Cookie campaign. I mean, come on. Who doesn't look forward to that?
Okay, but you know what I liking about this? Now, I know it's different than a flight, but you got to take about 9 flights to get a free flight. This one, you buy a coffee, you get another coffee. I see. I like this.
Love it.
I like this.
Yeah. Excellent stuff. All right. You're not in a normal locale. And by that, I mean, you know, unless you're in a palatial suite on the road, you know, for ESPN. No, you're not. You're actually taking some downtime, family time, joining us here on the podcast. Don't mention the name of the spa unless you want to, but you're at a spa with the family, correct?
Well, yeah, it's it's a resort that's got, you know, it's one of those gigantic resorts that's got a spa in it. And today actually is my beautiful wife's birthday. And,
happy birthday, Cammy.
Yeah, so we've got, as soon as we finish this nonsense, we've got a little spa morning planned, and don't have to worry about the kids getting up because they're 18 and 15, so that there'll be no. I do want to thank you for your heads up about the sliding the plastic. I'm going to have to get the frickin' numbers redone on this thing by the time. So there's Riley's 18. He's got 2 of his buddies here. Reese is here, who's 15. They eat like they've been hostages for 45 days. It is amazing. So they're like they eat nonstop. Then I see they're out at the they come back from the beach yesterday afternoon and they got like a couple of balls and a paddle ball thing. And I'm like, what did you do? And they're like, well, we didn't have anything to play with at the beach, so we. Oh, good. Just sign it to the room. Oh, yeah. Sign it. So if anyone wants an extra volleyball, I can have one of those. But we're actually down in Huntington Beach, and so Pacific Ocean's across the street. Beautiful. And we're having a great couple of days. I'm off to Minnesota to chase Ovi this week.
Nice. And those resorts have gotten sneaky over time, but also convenient, right? So now you get, I'm sure it's the same, you get the wrist key, which basically gets you into everything and all of it.
And way too easy. And way too easy.
Yeah.
Beep, beep. And you're like, isn't that great?
I love one of those.
You remember that checkout bill, eh? And it comes in. They have to, halfway through the checkout, they have to fill up the paper again. And it's just like, so, yeah. But anyways, it's been great to get away. And, Cammy had to go and scout the Anaheim game the other day, and then she's going in again today. No, tomorrow I think she's got another one, and then I'm gone, and they've got a couple more days here.
Nice. Well, we'll get to the Tim Hortons headlines in just a moment, but I do have some health-related questions. You know, I'm almost a ritual scroller of Instagram first thing in the morning. It's kind of my coffee. You know, I check all the highlights. I go through all my hockey stuff, and then I'm like, you know what? I just need a bit of a break here. And I start scrolling. And one of the ads that often pops up, there are 2 of them. One is like grounding blankets or mats that are supposed to do wonderful things for you. And the other one is the infrared. You know, I guess it's treatment, right? You can put it on your back, you can put it on your leg, your arm, wherever you feel you have an ailment. Are you familiar with either? And does either work for you? I'm kind of shopping for this.
No, I do know a little bit about both. Cammy's, you know, further down the road on that than me, but we do not have the grounding thing. Although apparently, if you get outside and the same thing the mat does in the morning and walk in your bare feet and you ground to the earth, and I guess there are some qualities to that. I don't do it. the infrared. We have an infrared light that Cammie's got right by the side of the bed. We turn it on for like 15 minutes before, like in the dark, before we go to bed, and
Right.
it's supposed to help with your
Okay.
circadian rhythms. And then
Oh,
in the morning, you wake up and you look into it for, I forget how long, and then you start your day. And I think it helps. I think that one helps. The problem is I'm never at home long enough to get into a rhythm with it. So I'm looking forward to that one once the season's over.
okay.
That the one app that my buddy Dan Murphy got me on, which it's the policeman of all food, really. So I decided I wanted to, I think I'm pretty fit and all that, but I'm like, not quite right. So it's this app, and you scan your food, and the AI tells you what's on your plate. It's freaking amazing. I don't know how.
Oh, you got to send me this app. Yeah, I'm curious.
And so it tells you, you answer 10 minutes of questions or whatever, and then what your goals are and all that. And it sets up a program for how many carbs or how many calories in the day, how much protein, and it all comes out on the plate. Like you just AI scan it. And so I've been doing it for a couple of weeks, and it's amazing how often you think about what you're going to put in your face and go, nope, I don't. I look at the app and I'm like, look at that, 600 calories left for today. This has got chocolate chip cookies on it.
Boy.
And so I really like it, but that's the health one that I'm using the most right now.
Yeah. Can you shut it off Friday, Saturday, Sunday?
No, but here's the thing. You're supposed to just eat in a calorie deficit, right? So say your thing is 2,000 calories and you eat 1,900 for 5 days in a row. Now you get 500 calories in the bank.
Yeah.
Ooh, and as the great Dan Murphy does say, sometimes you just have to decide, are you going to eat or drink your calories? And so it's really a model to live by. Yes, it really is.
All right. Well, we're gonna keep tabs on this process, and I want to have a look at the app. So I'm not sure I have the intestinal fortitude to stick to it, but I'm curious. So we left the Florida general managers meetings last week, Ray, feeling pretty good, I think, about the review process and how it relates and works around the issue.
No, you did. No, you did. You did.
That's a fair point. It was a bit of a kumbaya experience in Florida with these guys where and literally we were all in a circle in this boardroom, looking at these examples of goalie interference. And, as was well documented, so the NHL hockey operations presented 54 of the more difficult goalie interference examples to date. And that was last week. And they got the general managers to vote. What do you think? Good goal and versus not a goal. And 52 of the 54, the general managers were in agreement, majority agreement with the call that was made by the Situation Room. So you knew that there was another controversy just waiting to happen. It's inevitable, the number of games played in the NHL. Well, so that happened last night, and that's Monday night. Must win for the New York Islanders, must win for the Columbus Blue Jackets. Kyle Palmieri deflects what could have been the game-winning goal for the Islanders. It's deemed goalie interference. The goal is disallowed. So then Columbus goes on to win in a shootout. So I want you first to analyze that play. What did you see? And to the letter of the law now, do you think they got it right? This was goalie interference.
Okay, so I'm going to start with the first thing you said here. You said they got 54 of the most difficult goalie interference calls to review, correct? This wouldn't have been on it because it wasn't difficult. It wouldn't have been on it because it was not difficult, because it was not goalie interference. By all of the markers that you said, was he in the blue paint? Barely.
He was. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. But he was.
Yeah.
How did he get there? His own volition. Nobody pushed him. He's in. Did the goalie have time to reset? Oh my gosh, if he didn't have time to reset, he's in the wrong league. He was totally square. He just missed it. It went in. I would have, if I were standing on the bench with if I was standing on the bench with Patrick Waugh and they said, what do you think, challenge? Because they do that quick little, what do you think, what do you think, what do you think? I would have been like, yes, challenge, 100%.
Yeah.
100% I would have challenged that call.
So now I don't entirely disagree, but I will provide the information that I was given early this morning. So
because that's important, right? Because they're looking at something that, right?
Yeah. Well, so yeah, you can see Palmieri's backside, his arse is in the blue paint. So his skates are right on the edge of the crease, but he backs in. You can see there's contact. Here's where we as hockey fans, and it's different as an analyst because you're there and you're seeing it live at full speed. You're seeing it live and mock speed here, right? So we see it in slow motion when we're trying to analyze after the fact, because that's what we're being given on social media. When you see the shot come through, it looks like Merzlikins has tons of time to reset. But according to the Situation Room, in fact, he didn't. In real time, the shot is coming up just as the contact with the goaltender, Palmieri, is being made with Elvis. And so even though it looks like he had time to reset, the view of the Situation Room is that he did not have ample time, opportunity to reset. Real tight, real close call, but that's their view. Yeah.
Okay, so when Palmieri's butt is in the crease, but his feet are just on the fringe of it, right? I think we're in agreement on that.
Yes.
Right? Are we, Dregs? Yep.
Yep.
And Merzlikins reaches out to make the contact. How the hell is that Palmieri's problem? So I used to yell at the officials about this. Now, we didn't have goalie interference back then, but they would yell from the corner, watch the crease, watch the crease. And I would yell back, how far do I have to be out of the crease? Like, why don't you paint this thing blue all the way to the blue line? And then they could have a lane to skate up and down. If the goalie is partly at fault, I'll use with the contact, there has to be a bigger picture to this. I know they want this black and white. It never will be black and white. I think there has to be some common sense to the view. Now, maybe common sense opens up too much gray area. Like maybe that's what it does.
Yeah.
Dregs, I was in Vegas on Saturday. There was an offside call. We get the view that we get. And I mean, clearly not clearly, but clearly by the definition of the offside, the guy's Kolasar's foot is inside the blue line. It's offside.
Yeah.
This review lasts, I'm going to say 4 minutes. When you're on the air, it's like it's 1,000 minutes, right? Because there's nothing to talk about after a while. So one of the Detroit players comes up and asks me, he said, hey, is that off? And I said, yeah, it's off. He goes, is it clearly off, right? And I go, well, clearly. And I held my fingers up like a millimeter apart. And he said, yeah, they effed this rule up 5 years ago.
Yes.
And so, so what I was told is once the linesmen go to the tablet, they're out of the call. Like we think they're making the decision. By this point, it's hockey operations. They're there watching and they offer their opinion. And then they basically vote on it. Well, eventually somebody's got to step off the curb and make a decision. And so if they're all like, yeah, but what about this? And what about this? And I'm not so comfortable about this. Then you get a 4-minute review. That building was bumping. And then it was like a funeral. So I don't know how long they took for the Palmieri review, but I didn't think it was goalie interference for the reasons I said. And I still think they've got to hammer down on the length of these things.
Yeah, no, you've talked about that. All right, well, Islanders coach Patrick Waugh obviously knows a thing or two about goaltending. He was hot post-game, but I thought he was pissed off. You could clearly get that, and he should be. I mean, he felt like they were wronged in this process. And there were a couple of incidents in that game related to goalie interference. So he shares his perspective and frustration on this.
I think I saw it the same way you guys saw it. I mean, Palmieri was out of the crease, and We tipped it in, and I think their goalie pushed him away at the same time. So, but that's how I see it. And if Toronto's afraid to overturn calls made by their referee, we don't need Toronto.
Zing. So, I mean, cutting, but to the point, and he wouldn't change that today, even though it was heat of the moment post. So my homework assignment, whoever makes this call, whether it's Colin Campbell or it's Chris King or Kay Whitmore or Rod Paswell, whoever makes the call, wouldn't you take those examples? And in this case, this example last night, send it to all 32 GMs again. Okay,
Yes.
we have one more for you to vote on. One more.
Okay.
What do you think of this one? Right.
So, Dregs, the reason I would do that is we often hear from the league, the game's in the best place it's ever been. And I think in many, many, many ways it is. I really do. I do. But why ever stop trying to make it better? If you've got the opportunity to fine tune things like they do, keep at it. So you're right. Don't compile this for next year's meeting and say, oh, here's one example. This is one example the following week. Get it out there.
Right.
Because you know what? I can guarantee you, Dregs, I know this. All those, the other 30 general managers, they all saw that play today anyway, or saw it last night.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And you can bet they were texting each other, the ones that are buddies or the ones that know each other, and said, hey, did you see that goalie interference in New York? What did you think? Like, guaranteed they did.
Yeah.
And so,
well,
they have made it that they don't really want Toronto changing calls. Like that is a fact. They have made the criteria as clear as they can because they don't want 27 challenges a game.
Mm-hmm.
Like and I understand that. Otherwise, the game will last 4 hours.
Right.
So it was not wrong. When in that quote, I was thinking, I miss the old Patrick. I don't miss the
Fiery.
older, more mature Patrick. Yeah, that one was calm and measured, and old Pat or younger Patrick would have been way more entertaining.
I was a little annoyed with the media because I listened to it in its entirety, and he gets a little bit fired up again later. But he's literally saying to the assembled media, okay, just stop, because, you could tell that the fuse was about to go, right? We were going to have one of those vintage moments, and it didn't happen.
I think I identify with that. I've worked really hard in my life to try and be a calmer person. When these things happen, you feel this heat coming up from your stomach. And but it's a heat. I don't know if you feel this or not, but I feel like now my chest is almost on fire. And I'm like, if I don't stop here, the next thing that comes out might not be the right thing to say. So good. I applaud him for please stop. Leave me alone. I like that.
We've got some breaking news here as we record Ray and Dregs on Tuesday morning. Jakob Chychrun has extended with the Washington Capitals, and we knew that this was in the works, no doubt about that. 8-year maximum, $72 million. So $9 million per. That's a nice ticket for Jake Chychrun.
Now I know Ryan's listening and he's got nothing to do. So how old is Chychrun? Get on your little googly device and find that out.
I can find it. He's not that old.
So here's the thing with Chychrun, right? Like his offensive game has always been what has been most attractive to teams. There has been
26.
26, man. You got him. So through 27 through 36, you got him in the core of his career, right?
Yeah.
Turning 27 on March 31st.
Awesome. Well done, Ryan. That's a good contribution by you. We really appreciate that.
Yep. Done for the day. We'll talk Thursday.
See you Thursday. The debate on Chychrun is whether he can defend and whether he can process the game as a defender. And for whatever reason, that question has followed him as he's bounced around a little bit. He's been with not very good teams.
Yeah.
Now, I think the potential for Chychrun was to land somewhere when he was mature enough as a player to play nearest of his potential. And I'm telling you, I watch him in Washington. I've done maybe 4 or 5 Caps games. I'm going to get another one on Thursday. And he looks like his game is settled. Like he's not trying to create all the time. And they have done an amazing job in Washington. And not just from last year to this year. I mean, over the last couple of years of moving people out and getting younger and newer people in. They did get lucky, right? Because Backstrom went on LTI, and that cleared up cap space for when he couldn't come back. Oshie, same thing. And Kuznetsov, they terminated his contract. If you look at teams that are trying to move into that next phase, they often have these contracts that have become real heavy weights on their team. And Washington was able in a year and a half to move those away. So they're a fun team to watch, and good for Chychrun. He can buy all the. You were talking about health. He's the guy you should talk to.
Oh boy,
and he's got. I just read an article this morning. Dylan Strome said he's trying not to have any light bulbs in his house. He's using beeswax candles, and like he's a little out there for my, But could you imagine? Hey, Holly, could you? I'm going to go into that room over there. Could you light the candles? Yeah. What are you in a 17th century mansion? Like,
knowing me, I'd knock one over and light the drinks on fire. Yeah,
me too. No chance.
Just to wrap up on Chychrun, we'll move on to Thatcher Demko returning last night to the Vancouver Canucks. But I think this contract extension, Ray, with Jake Chychrun, again, 8 years, $72 million, is representative of the salary cap increasing and the projections for the next 3 years. I remember having this conversation with Andy Scott, who represents Jake Chychrun through the whole Rantanen debacle from Colorado to Carolina, over to Dallas. And he said, next up for him was going to be, managing Jake Chychrun. Do you get something done in Washington? Does he again have to look at the potential of another team in free agency and all of that? And he said, well, the issue for the Caps might be the fact that Chychrun's been a real nice fit as you've analyzed, but also that the cap projections have gone up. So he's got a little bit more financial ground to work with. So this is a pretty sweet deal overall.
Dregs, let me give one last point on that, is that we've talked a little bit about this. The rank and file think everybody's salary is going to go up with this cap increase.
No.
Wrong. The average salary will go up. I hope somebody's watching or keeping an eye on the median salary. And that's half above and half below. Because my gut tells me a lot of this cap increase is going to go to the big boys. And the middle of the road guys and the low range guys are going to be the same.
All right, big game for Thatcher Demko. Wasn't overly taxed on Monday night, but still, he's coming off a stretch of hasn't had a start in over a month. So there was some question as to how crisp he would be. Made 22 saves and gave the Vancouver Canucks the goaltending that they needed to find a way to win a game that they, again, would feel like they have to win. That's pretty much, the rest of the way for the Vancouver Canucks, anyone who's in that playoff fight in the West. So start with Demko's game. What do you see? What do you like?
Well, certainly the game saver in overtime is vintage Demko. He's such a big man, incredible flexibility, and he comes all the way across to Rob Cotter on the 2-on-1 in overtime. Like, unbelievable save. That save doesn't get made by every goalie in the league, right?
Right.
Demko's had a miserable year, brutal.
Yeah.
And so now he's back, and he happens to come back and they really needed him. Lankinen played the other day in New York and was sick. They clearly don't have a lot of faith in Shilovs.
No.
So, man, if you're going to hang in there, can you play? And at what percentage of 100% are you? The one goal, I think there was one goal I would say that where you're like, oh, he's not quite there yet. Somebody took a shot, it missed the net and went off the end boards out to the other side. and he had overplayed the shot. And he couldn't get back, and you could see the way he reacted. He wasn't thrilled with it.
Yeah.
Look, they signed Lankinen, and I think he's had an amazing year. When you stick Thatcher Demko in front of your net, everybody grows a little bit. Like they're just the swag of your team is different. One other thing, this is 2 games or 2 out of the last 3 games, the Canucks have scored with the goalie out. So whatever the year's been, to tie the game rather, and whatever the year's been, which has been up and down and kind of at best, they have some fight in them right now. I think I would be quite happy with the way that the guys have played with last night. No Patterson, no Höglander. They're out of the lineup. No Hedl, and they find a way to win. I will tell you this: sneaky, underrated, fun guy to watch. He's just getting started. Is Jonathan Lekkerimäki. So, if you watch his shootout goal last night, as he's skating up to the puck, he spins his stick in his hand, like I'm sure it's not a nervous tick. It's just like it's his thing. He spins it in his hand. You know when guys flip the blade around. Just watch this. As he comes up to the puck, bling, he spins it around and he rifles one past Markstrom. Yeah. He scored in regulation. He's a little light right now. He's young and light. I suspect that next year he's a full-time player, and he's a 20 goal guy. Like he's going to score. And so anyway, they win in the shootout and they get a day off, which Quinn Hughes will most likely need. He played almost 32 minutes last night, and then they're off to the island for the game on Wednesday.
Yeah, it is that time of year, though, isn't it? As we wade into the final stretch of the regular season, and for teams like the Edmonton Oilers, I mean, they're in the playoffs, so that's not in question. But you do have to manage certain levels of injury, right? I mean, Vancouver did it in an impressive fashion Monday night. Moving forward, the Oilers are going to have to do it this week without McDavid and Draisaitl. So are you a guy who looks at it in the bigger picture and says, okay, well, it's almost like load management, forced load management with McDavid and Draisaitl, because there isn't an urgency that's required game by game of the regular season this week? Or are you looking at it with a bit more concern, even though they say it's not serious with those two guys? It's just you want that lineup as healthy as it can be with 5-7 games left in the regular season?
Yeah, I mean, the trade-off is that maybe by the time the 5 or 6, 7 games are left, like however those two guys are going to miss, maybe the division is gone, right? Like maybe it's gone. That fight's over. Maybe it is. I had Vegas on Saturday, as I said. Man, they look good. They are gigantic. They are fast. They're going to get Shea Theodore back in the next 10 days. Like it's a really, really great team. So if they're of the mindset, okay, I'd rather have 98% of Connor and Leon as opposed to 86% for the playoffs. Well, I would want that.
Of course.
Just think of the money they could have saved if they would have just used the tickets from 4 years ago and against the LA Kings and just use the same playoff tickets 4 years in a row. Like that's wild to me. Like, are you kidding me? 4 years in a row. What are the?
I know.
Anyway, so I would be cautious. I mean, my view would be I think it's the only way, really.
Excellent. All right, we'll talk about the Leafs goaltending later in the week. We'll just table that for now because that seems to be a growing layer of consternation here. People need the starter for game one determined. Hey, like, come on. But that's
Mike Palmateer. Mike Palmateer, my guy. He should be the guy.
We'll get into the weeds on that on Thursday. Those are your headlines. Thank you to our good friends at Tim Hortons. All right, time for Ask Ray and Dregs Anything. If you are a skilled tradesperson or construction professional looking for work in Western Canada, Aecon wants to hear from you. Aecon is a North American construction leader, proud to be one of Canada's original industrial contractors. They are building some of the largest multi-year industrial projects in Western Canada, and hey, you can be a part of it. They're looking for skilled tradespeople, construction pros, willing to join the Acon team and start building what matters today, send your resume to trades@acon.com. And we could hear Ryan Rishaug chirping in the background, giving us the
that wasn't chirping. That was valuable
added
information.
Added value.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
You want some more added valuable information? Ray, your app is called Edo. And while you guys were taping that first segment, I have downloaded, subscribed, and have my plan all set up. So
Isn't it?
Edo.
Okay, so I didn't know unless Edo wants a sponsorship and wants to,
we can say it.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. So it's Edo, and it came from Dan Murphy, and
Murph says you're addicted to it. That's what he said.
Yes.
He said I asked Murph. He said he's addicted to it.
You know what I have found? Cammy and the boys are nowhere near as interested in my calorie intake or protein intake as I am.
Yeah.
I keep telling them, "Oh, would you look at that? I've got this left," and they're like, "Yeah, beat it." You know,
this blueberry was 17 calories.
Oh, it's
everybody loves that guy. Everybody loves that.
And guess,
glad you're becoming that guy, Ray.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it is. I love it. It is the food police.
Yeah, I've already logged my breakfast too, by the way, so I'm already well down my path.
Have you used?
So you can't eat for the next 2 days?
No, don't be.
I was gonna say, Dregs, if you pointed it at your dinner, just a picture of Jabba the Hutt would pop up. That's just it. It's right there.
The only go ahead. We could fill the whole thing with this.
No, I was gonna move along, but if you've got some more chirping to do, by all means.
Yeah, you remember the old thing was used to be on the fridge for people that were concerned with their overeating. You open the fridge and a cow would moo. And I'm like, that should come out of that. That should come out of that app every time you go over.
All right, a couple of good submissions here for Ask Ray and Dregs, and then I've got a couple of my own, and might even talk a little spa treatment with you, Ray, in a moment. We'll get started with Daniel in Oshawa, who says, "Hey guys, what do you make of Sheldon Keefe's frustrated outburst at his young defenseman this week? Seemed a little harsh to me. Is the pressure grinding him a little? And what would the players think of this?" So the background here is Jonathan Kovacevic, good young defenseman for the New Jersey Devils, says this post-game.
We're in a fight, and hopefully that, gets us in that playoff mentality, 10, 11 games out, and we carry that into playoffs.
And here comes Sheldon Keefe's response.
Yeah, obviously the results are tough, but we're in a fight here, and we're not going to back down.
Kovacevic just mentioned to us that he thinks the team kind of needs to have that playoff mentality going down the stretch here. Is that something
Kovacevic just needs to play better. That would help.
So then the postscript to all of this is last night on the broadcast, Kovacevic makes a great play, clears a puck out of the crease, saves a goal, and Keefe gets interviewed on the bench.
And Kovacevic saved the day. He made that save. He's the best.
He's the best. Keefe says he's the best on the broadcast itself. So, Ray, what do you make all this, man? Is it a pressure thing? A friend of the podcast, by the way, Sheldon Keefe.
No, I would say it was not a pressure thing. It was a pissed off thing at the whole game. And so if you think about it, most interviews become a jumble of just words, right? Like, we've got to play with a playoff mentality in this case. Like, what does that even mean? Like, just try better, try more, be sharper, right? And so I would be certain that Sheldon would say something to him the next morning and go, "Hey, that one got away from me." Here's the thing, the bench and the room, when it gets referred to as a workplace, is not the workplace we know. That there are different parameters there. And I'm certain Kovacevic, who signed a 5-year, $20 million extension after being the 8th defenseman in Montreal, he'll probably be fine. He'll probably be fine. And I thought, instead of like Sheldon 2 years ago when he had to apologize in Toronto because he said, "Oh, I wish, I need the big players to play better." No apology needed here. Talk to the guy.
No.
And then he cracked a joke yesterday. I thought it was really funny. When I heard that, I was like, "Oh, that's the best." So
I loved it. I loved it.
Yeah.
I guess what first came to mind for me, though, is, how many camps are there where camps of players where, okay, well, I'm not going to say that if it's this group of player. in the moment, it's just not going to come out that way because I have way too much respect for that camp of player. So Kovacevic is obviously somewhere in the middle, or he's in the bottom where the coach is just teeing off, even though it probably wasn't deserved.
Oh, okay. So let me just a little sidebar. Did you see Nikita Zadorov?
Yeah.
No, I didn't.
So Swayman, they were playing in LA. He challenged Darcy Kemper to a fight. The referees broke it up.
Yeah.
And Zadorov said after, they said, somebody asked him, do you like that he stood up for Huznadinov? And he goes, oh, is that what it was? And he goes, no comment. I mean, we got goals going in from everywhere. I would be more concerned about that than what Sheldon Keefe said.
Yeah, I might have that here, actually. Let's see if I can hear it, if you guys can hear it.
Is that what it is? Okay. I don't know. No comment.
Yikes. Could you guys hear that okay? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, no comment. Yeah, that seemed a little bit off for sure. Okay, moving on to the next one. This one comes to us from Brandon Holmes. Says, hey lads, Brandon here from Ottawa. Great show. Question for Ray as we discuss NHL playoffs moving forward. I'm interested to hear Ray's story about the 92-93 seasons. Played in the AHL, then back up with the big club, putting up 27 points in 46 games, then up going on a playoff run with 13 tucks and 20 points in the Islander playoff run. What contributed to your success that year? Thanks, guys.
My surgeon that put my leg back together. I got shoved into the boards in November on a breakaway. Cam Russell pushed me from behind, and I hit the boards at Chicago Stadium, and I dislocated my ankle and broke my leg, and I missed 3 months. So when I came back, they said, we need you to play a couple games. They sent me to the American League to play in New Haven, which was a 90-minute drive from the island. So I go down there. I played one game. I think I had a couple assists. I called myself back up after the game because there were all these 20-year-olds racing around. I was like, I'm going to get killed here. It's not going to be my leg. Somebody's going to kill me. And I played 6 games before the end of the year, and that streak came out of nowhere. And when I left the playoffs, when our team got eliminated, I was leading the league in goals, which when you look at the thing, I got 13 and I think Gretz had 12. And it was like the old Sesame Street thing. One of these things is not like the other. And so I have that clipping, and I'm going to keep it.
Love it. Okay, Dregs, we'll start with you on this one. Another submission from Ottawa. This is Simon. How dangerous are teams that rally late in a season to earn a playoff berth? Some might think they're just happy to be there and playing with house money. Others would say they're firing on all cylinders and ready for some upsets. Who would you fear among the teams who've made a late season dash, Dregs?
Well, yeah, it's an excellent question. For whatever reason, I want to look at the St. Louis Blues and what we saw. What was that, 2019, first half of the season? They were just flat out no good. And then off they go on that miraculous run, and they hoist the Stanley Cup. Look, and then I'm reminded of John Cooper deciding to go with Jordan Binnington at the Four Nations face-off, and all of us are questioning, well, why did he do that? And the goaltending for Canada going in wasn't stellar, and that includes Binnington, but it was just the internal combustion of Binnington that seemed to give him the edge in that process. And I mean, there's a lot going on in St. Louis, but just the way that they've been continuing to push here essentially since the Four Nations, and the mastermind management of Dougie Armstrong. Like that old Braden Shen stuff, is he getting traded? Isn't he being traded? All that is old school management, making sure that it's uncomfortable for everyone on that team so that their focus is on where it needs to be. So I don't know if they have the horses to run with the big boys in the West, but they're a team of interest to me.
Right.
Yeah, you know what else can't be overlooked there is Jim Montgomery is a really good coach. He is a really good coach.
Really good.
I did the game. I was there on Tuesday, and I'm like, man, they are young and fast, and like they've got 3 22 or 23-year-old wingers, Neighbors, Bolduc, Holloway, and they are They are good. And then you got Kyrou and Thomas, and
Yeah.
they're putting together something there. But if I'm going to look at a team that's hot, we always look at the bottom, that team that gets hot and just gets in. I'm going to pick Vegas again because they're hot, and I'm like, sometimes you're just better than everybody else.
I can't wait to see Brady Tkachuk in some NHL playoff action. I think that's going to be interesting.
Yeah, that might have some zip to it.
Okay, that's it for the submissions from the listeners. I've got a couple to throw at you here. So you guys both have to pick one of these. You have to pick one.
Oh, boy.
Being that you're at a spa, Ray, right now, went looking for some different spa treatments that could be available to you. First submission, snake massage. Small snakes, such as the milk snake, brush lightly over the skin. Larger ones, such as corn and king snakes, provide deeper pressure to alleviate sore muscles. As many as 20 to 30 snakes are draped over your body for this snake massage treatment. That is option one. Hang on, Dregs. Don't count that out when you hear what's about to come. The next one, a nightingale facial. After being treated with ultraviolet rays in order to kill bacteria, nightingale droppings are ground to a powder and mixed with water to form a special paste. The mixture is said to prevent blemishes and even skin tone. So that is using excrement from a nightingale to help with your face.
Which is what, a bird?
Last one. What's that?
What's a nightingale? Like a bird?
It's a bird. It's a bird. Yeah, a little
Okay.
cute little bird. Yeah, it's about that big. Just a little bird. Last one is a snail facial. Allows clients to come face to face with the mollusks in order to reap benefits from their secretions. Under the supervision, I'm reading this off of the intranet, so this is real. Under the supervision of a snail wrangler, snails glide across the face as they please, leaving a slimy trail of antioxidants and proteins in their wake. You have to choose one. Ray, which one you going with?
Easy. I'll go with the bird shit.
Yeah.
That's my vote.
Available? Is that on the menu where you're at right now?
I'm going to check on that. Hey, do you guys have that bird shit massage for my face?
I mean,
Dregs?
come on. I mean, yeah, the bird poop is the only acceptable answer here. Like,
right.
I don't have I'm not terrified of snakes. Like, I would hold a snake. I mean, as a kid, we used to muck around the garter snakes and all that. But it's nightmarish to think that they're crawling all over your body.
No chance.
Seriously.
My only question here is, where is that frickin' spa that you're reading?
Yeah.
Like, it's in the hut in the middle of a jungle somewhere. Like,
yeah.
It's on the internet. It's on the internet. I don't know. I might go with the snake
basement.
thing. I might go with the snake thing. I don't know. All right. And lastly, gentlemen, we never get political on the podcast, and that's not about to start. But did you hear the story out of the U.S. yesterday where some pretty highfalutin security officials threw together a little signal chat to talk about some war plans and accidentally added a reporter to this chat? It was dominated the news yesterday. One of those head-shaking moments that has you going, what the heck? So it has me wondering and asking you, gentlemen. Ray, we'll start with you. Have you ever accidentally texted someone that you didn't mean to? Has anyone ever accidentally texted you? Any stories along these lines?
I mean, somebody's accidentally texted me, yes, and said something about me that they probably didn't need me to hear. But that's easy, right?
Yeah.
Because we've all sent hundreds of thousands of texts, right? The one I will mention is we were looking for a fourth to play golf, and this guy was suggested, hey, what about so-and-so? Now, I thought this was an individual text, not realizing it was the group text, which included this guy. And I said, I don't want to play with that frickin' guy. And so that was
frickin'.
Yeah, that was slightly uncomfortable. It's funny, we've not played together since. I don't know why.
It's weird.
Stunning.
Yeah, odd that. But when I realized, because I got the side text, hey, dummy, that was to the group. Like, there's not even a way to retrieve it. I just buried my head in the sand. And
you
I was
didn't reach
like,
out and you didn't like reach out and make good with the guy. You didn't be, hey man, sorry.
Well, what was I going to say? Sorry, I didn't mean to say this effing guy. What I meant to say was, hey, buddy, I don't think we should play together Tuesday. How was I going to say that?
All right. Well, you're down a pal.
Yeah. So I have one, this is going back a number of years ago, but my kid was playing AAA hockey here in Whitby. It was Anaheim and Winnipeg were first round of the playoffs. So I'm in Winnipeg covering the series, and it was spring tryouts, and I think it was for the Bantam team, whatever team it was. But there was just this weird sense. There was some politics going on, shocking, I know, in minor hockey. And I was on the board at the time. And anyway, it looked like my son potentially was going to get caught in the crosshairs. So I think I'm sending Holly a text saying bad stuff about the coach who's potentially going to cut Mason Dreger from this team. And I used some really tough language. And I hit send. And I get a response back like within a minute going, that's interesting. And I look down, why is the coach texting me? And I sent the text. I somehow missed Holly and sent it to the head coach. Yeah,
the very guy you were talking about. Did he get cut?
No, he didn't actually. Well, he didn't deserve to, but the whole thing was just bananas. I'm like, oh my God, man. But I did. I apologized because I said, look, I'm dealing with stress I shouldn't have to deal with. I'm on the road. Holly doesn't know anything about this, and I got to deal with it here. So anyway, all was forgotten.
Oh, I don't think it was forgotten. I don't think it was forgotten.
No, it was not. There are more stories beyond that one.
Well, mine's a little bit different in nature, so I'll get a little bit personal here. You guys will roll your eyes, but I went through went through a divorce a number of years ago, and when my ex Stacy and I decided that we were going to separate, we made that decision. I sent her a text message and said, hey, we should, get together so we can have a chat about the kids, make sure we're on the same page. That was basically the text, right? My phone rings immediately. This was back in the early days of Twitter. If you guys recall, there was a period of time where you could actually tweet from your texting app.
This. Yep.
So you could tweet from your texting app. I tweeted that to everybody.
Yes, I remember
We should get together to talk about the kids. Make sure we're on the same page. Jeff O'Neill, of all people, phones me. He's like, Reesh, like, what are you doing, man? I'm like, what's up, Bo? He's like, yeah, you just text everybody about getting together to talk about what are you doing? I was like, what? I pull out my phone and it's just like, oh my God. So I remember, I don't even remember if you could delete tweets back then or whatever, but the mentions were just like, oh boy, like here divorce on the way. People just hammering me in the mentions. And that's only
funny, but
that's only slightly worse than the time I accidentally tweeted my phone number. And
also
I still get text messages and phone calls from people, random people, as a
So
result
you
of having tweeted my phone number.
You never changed your phone number?
No, not lying. 200 phone calls in 3 days. Like, it was nuts. And then people started texting me, and I still have people. Actually, I'll converse with them. I have probably 3 or 4 people that still regularly text me. I have no idea who they are. They just have my number from like 9 years ago.
That's awesome.
That's hilarious. That's
up there. That's up there.
And it's not exactly national security details, so minor stuff
but
compared
still.
to.
By the way, if you've looked on the app today, so people are at it about that conversation, how it became public, and there's like a made up text, and it says, "So are we good for D-Day?" And then the answers are like, Chamberlain, we're in. They're like, Chamberlain, we're in. No, it's really
my goodness. Hey, if you guys want comedy on Twitter, go back to the day that I tweeted video of the Prime Minister skating around at Oiler practice. Hop into those mentions for 2 minutes. Oh my goodness sakes. There was some ugly stuff. But the one that was funny, though, it took the cake. The one response was, "Oh, great, another aging forward. Let me guess, he's got a no-move clause." That was the winner of the day. And that was Ask Ray and Dregs Anything, brought to you by our good friends over at Acon. See you, boys.
Thanks, Raish. TSN's Ryan Rashog.
Awesome.
He steps in once a week for Ask Ray and Dregs Anything. Thanks to Acon for that. All right, buddy, we got to let you go because you've got stuff. Yep. You've got planned. You've got massages. You've got
snail massage.
Scalp. Well, what's that?
He said snail massage.
Snail massage. Well, enjoy the rest of your time.
Yeah, I got birthday preparations.
Yes, you do.
Going, because it would be way too early to have those started.
Do you still give gifts? Like no. Holly and I years ago just said, "Nah, don't worry about it. Let's go out for dinner. You guys are at a nice resort. Do that kind of stuff."
Yeah, that's where we're at. I mean, there's no. I couldn't even think of what to buy. I got a card. I'm a really good card writer. I'm an excellent card writer.
Do you read the message first, or do you just look at the outside and go, "I like the color. I like this. I like that," and you don't actually open the card and read the message that it sends?
No, Dregs. I get empty cards, and I create the prose.
Good for you.
Yeah, I like that. And the other part of this is
happy birthday, Cammy.
yeah, something like that. Then I draw like a picture. And then I'm gonna have to remind the boys that it's Mom's birthday. Although they'll remember Mom's, they have no. I think they could tell you that my birthday is in August, but they might miss that. They certainly no chance they get the day.
No, that doesn't bother me as much. My own birthday, but I give it to the kids when they miss Holly's birthday, or they'll never miss Mother's Day because I hit them over the head with a sledgehammer for 2-3 weeks in advance. Like make sure. So, all right, buddy. Well, enjoy your family time.
Thank you very much, and we'll talk to you from Minnesota on Thursday.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to share the specifics because it's nobody's business, but I am intrigued by the escalating costs of this family trip, given everything that you've got going on.
I'm interested with it too, and however, there is no answer at this point, and I'm I am. No. But the one thing that's going to happen is Wednesday morning when I leave, a credit card's coming with me, and they'll be moving to a different place that doesn't have the wristbands. So there could be a little funneling of costs when I leave.
All right. Well, best to the family. Happy birthday to Cammy, and safe travels to you.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks for listening. Dregs, thanks, and we'll talk to you all Thursday.
You bet. Yes, there's another good one. Thank you to our sponsors who continue to support the Ray and Dregs Hockey Podcast and make it possible. Our title sponsor, Tim Hortons, and thanks for Ask Ray and Dregs Anything to our good sponsor there in Acon. Some big time hockey ahead leading us into the week and into the weekend. Enjoy it. And in the meantime, stay safe, everybody.